We're going to start and we're going to build on this. So no matter your exposure to the unique mechanism, whether this is the first time that you're really learning the unique mechanism, if you're brand new to our world, to the E5 method, or whether you consider yourself a pro at the E5 method, I want you to pay close attention to even the introductory stuff as it relates to the unique mechanism, because there are going to be little gems sprinkled throughout that I haven't shared before about my insights, my newest insights as it relates to the unique mechanism. So let's talk about what is a unique mechanism. Well, in order to talk about what is a unique mechanism, we need to first and foremost talk about what is a mechanism. See, it's important for you to understand that every product or service that produces a result, any product or service that produces a result, and the reason why I say produces a result is because any product or service that works to deliver a result, to deliver an outcome, to deliver a change, to deliver a solution to a problem has a mechanism, right? Every product or service that produces a change, that produces a result, has a mechanism. The mechanism is how the product or service works to deliver that result. The mechanism is how the product or service works to deliver the result, right? That is what's called a mechanism. Now, out in the wild, what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of products, a lot of services that have what I call an ordinary or a commoditized mechanism. A commoditized mechanism or an ordinary mechanism, which is your common mechanism, right? So you can use these descriptions interchangeably, is is a mechanism that is available elsewhere. It's available in other products or services, meaning it is a product that, right, it has a mechanism. I'm going to give you an example in just a second. It has a reason why it produces a result, and every product or service has a mechanism. Every product or service, there's a reason why it is able to produce the result. Well, when the reason why a product or service is able to produce a result is available in other products or services, that is what we call an ordinary commoditized mechanism. Here is a great example. This is an example. This is, call it, let's say it's 500 milligrams of magnesium sulfate. Well, you know that if we put together a marketing campaign and we talked about this is just a really like extreme example of a commoditized solution. But I want you to imagine that we had a fancy pants name on this bottle, and that fancy pants name said, lower blood pressure, or something like that, lower blood pressure. And we put together a marketing campaign, and we said the secret in our product, the lower your blood pressure, is 500 milligrams of magnesium sulfate. And then we went on to talk about all of the benefits of magnesium sulfate at 500 milligrams and what it'll do for you and how it'll lower blood pressure and how it, relaxes arteries and how it's good for your kidneys and blah, 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 and all that stuff. Well, all we've done in that case, in that example, is introduced a commoditized mechanism. All we've done is sold the prospect, introduced and sold the prospect on a mechanism that they can get anywhere else. Right? So if we educate, if we say the secret is in the fact that this product contains 500 milligrams of magnesium sulfate, that's why it's able to lower blood pressure. That's the mechanism behind this supplement. We've introduced a commoditized mechanism, a commoditized solution, which allows the prospect to say, thank you so much, Bob, Ted, Diego, right, James. Thank you so much for informing me, for educating me on this mechanism, on magnesium sulfate, 500 milligrams. Pause on your video sales letter, and now they go over to Amazon and they search for magnesium sulfate, 500 milligrams. Now they go over to Google and they search for, right, they go to Vitamin Shop, they go to a health food store. You've now just sold them on a commoditized mechanism. You've opened up the door for them to go and find that elsewhere, more convenient, less expensive, right? That's a commoditized mechanism. I'll tell you up front, we never, ever want to present a commoditized mechanism. You're going to see how today, with what it is that I teach you, how we want to create an all roads lead to you solution, meaning you are offering a solution that is proprietary to you. You are the only purveyor of that solution. They cannot go and get it from Amazon. They cannot go and get it on Google. They cannot go and get it anywhere else. Right. And so we never, ever present a commoditized mechanism. We only present unique mechanisms. So let's talk a little bit about what is a unique mechanism. Well, a unique mechanism is nothing more. It's now you can kind of see the reverse of the ordinary or commoditized mechanism. The unique mechanism is the system, the process, the framework, the method, any of those behind your product or service, which produces the result for the prospect. It's the reason why. It's the method behind your approach to that produces the result. It's the system. It's the steps. It's the framework. It's the approach. It's how and why your product or service is able to fulfill the promise. Right. And it's unique, meaning it's proprietary. It's only available through you, period. So a unique mechanism, is the reason why your product or service is able to produce the result. And it's able to produce, as you're going to learn today, it's able to produce a better result, either faster, easier, more consistent, or just bigger, right? We're going to talk all about that, how you identify that for yours. It is different from the mechanisms in other products and services. It is superior in terms of delivering results to the other products or services, and it is only available through you. That is what a unique mechanism is. Here is a simple example, right? So if you look at this, I don't even know, hypertension, see how it says a unique herbal supplement prepared according to Dr. Luke Kua's proprietary method. This isn't the greatest example of a unique mechanism, but the reality is that if you look at it's according to Dr. Luke Kua's proprietary method. That means, right, that if you want a supplement that to lower blood pressure that is based on Dr. Luke's proprietary method, that is the only source. That's the only place that you can get it. And you're going to learn how do we then present that? Like, how do we present a marketing message, a real deal marketing message that convinces prospects that Dr. Luke's proprietary method for the formulation is superior to everything else? You're going to learn that. But this is an example of something that is a unique mechanism compared to something that is an ordinary mechanism. Now, if you look at this just simple comparison to just drive this home, right? A unique mechanism is proprietary. It's only available through you. You are the only purveyor. Whereas an ordinary mechanism or a commoditized mechanism is common. It's available elsewhere. With a unique mechanism, right, it prevents what I call the Google slap trigger. What is the Google slap trigger where an ordinary mechanism stimulates the Google slap trigger? It's exactly what I described to you. It is when somebody hears your solution, they hear your mechanism. When you say the secret behind this approach is Facebook advertising, or the secret behind this approach is retargeting, right? Common mechanisms. And then they say, thank you, pause, Google, retargeting, Google, Facebook advertising, Google magnesium sulfate 500 milligrams. See, a Google slap trigger is when you present this commoditized mechanism and it allows for the prospect to now go shop elsewhere, to now go do an apples to apples comparison. We want to eliminate an apples to apples comparison. We don't ever want them to say, right, like I can go and find this elsewhere. If they can go and find this elsewhere, what you're talking about, what you're educating them on, which I'm going to teach you how to do, right, you have a commoditized mechanism. So a unique mechanism prevents that Google slap trigger, because the reality is that once you deploy your unique mechanism, if they were to go to Google, the reality is over time, the only things that they're going to find are things that bring them back to you. Meaning the only thing that's going to show up are links back to your campaign, your marketing campaign, or your website, or the places that you're talking about your unique mechanism. Whereas with an ordinary mechanism, it opens up the world for you to be shopped around. Like I said, with a unique mechanism, it only leads back to you. Whereas with a commoditized mechanism, it leads to others. You're almost in essence, you are creating what you're doing when you are marketing. Even for the savvy entrepreneurs that understand the difference between marketing and selling, which we're going to talk about a little bit later today, briefly. When they are marketing and they're putting together an education-based marketing message, and they introduce a commoditized mechanism, meaning something that is available elsewhere, all they're really doing is selling the prospect on the commoditized mechanism. All they're really doing is building demand for the commoditized mechanism, not their own offer, right? Because let me give you an example, another example. So many moons ago, I worked with chiropractors, helping them to grow their practice, helping them to do better, more effective marketing. And most chiropractors would when they came to me, they would say, my job is to really educate people on chiropractic care and the value of chiropractic care and what chiropractic care can do for somebody. And I immediately would say to them, no, your job is not to convince somebody of the value of chiropractic care and what chiropractic care can do for them. Your job is to convince them of the value of chiropractic care with you and what chiropractic care with you can do for them. Because if all we're doing is educating on chiropractic care, all we're doing is educating on the commoditized mechanism. All we're doing is leading the prospect to want that commoditized mechanism, leading them elsewhere, leading them to shop around, giving them the ability to say, oh, let me see if there's a book on that. Let me see if there's a YouTube video on that. Let me see if there's somebody cheaper. Let me see if there's another way for me to learn this. See, as you're going to learn, and this is one of the beautiful things about the unique mechanism, that when you base your marketing around a unique mechanism, not only do you prevent that Google slap, not only do you create this all roads lead to you approach, but you actually create demand for your offer before you even present the offer. Meaning before you ever even tell the prospect about how they can, spend money with you, you've created demand for that. In essence, what you've really done, and you're going to learn this, right? This is an intro. You've pre-sold them on your offer, because before we present the offer, which is how they get the unique mechanism, how they benefit from the unique mechanism, how they learn the unique mechanism, how they can experience the transformation of the unique mechanism, right? Before we introduce that, right, we've led the prospect to want the unique mechanism, to see that it's not only different, but it's better than every other method out there. So, right, once we've led them to see why your unique mechanism is different and better than every other approach that they're considering, that they've tried, that they may want to get the result, the outcome that they're looking for, to eliminate the problem that they are dealing with. Once we've shown them that your unique mechanism is different and superior, they want it. And the only place for them to get it is through your offer. They cannot go and get it anywhere else. Whereas the ordinary mechanism, like I said, it simply creates demand for the product type or for the commoditized mechanism. If we educate somebody on the value and benefit of magnesium sulfate, 500 milligrams, all we've done is created demand for 500 milligrams of magnesium sulfate. If we educate on the value of chiropractic care for relieving somebody's back pain, all we've done is created demand for chiropractic care. That's not what we want to do. We want to create demand for your offer, for your product, for your service. We want to create where the only way that they can benefit from this unique mechanism, the only place that they can get the unique mechanism is from you, where they can't search and find it from anywhere else, right? And we do that by, again, presenting a unique mechanism, showing that you've got something that's different and superior. And so, yeah, Ryan, I'll break down. Let me just see something here. Where the problem is, I sell a course teaching about e-commerce. I don't know if I have to talk to the audience, a beginner selling the idea. So I'm not sure who that is, anonymous attendee. We'll come back and we'll talk about that, identifying the core problem. I'll be happy to answer that for you. Ryan, so I will absolutely break that down a little bit. Let me actually break it down a little bit right now. So Ryan asked the question. He said, at some point, I'd love to hear all roads lead to you expanded upon as well. So what do I mean all roads lead to you? So check this out. Let's take the E5 method for example. I'm not sure what level of exposure you've had to the E5 method, right? The unique mechanism is a piece of the E5 method, but let's take the E5 method. And let's say that I'm at one of these conferences or something like that. I'm giving a presentation and I'm talking about maybe the E5 method, or I'm talking about a piece of the E5 method and I'm training on it. I'm educating folks on how to use a big marketing idea to get attention and stand out in a crowded and saturated marketplace, and how to do it in a way that is compliant with the traffic platforms and all that, and how to use a big marketing idea to do that, and what a big marketing idea is, and yada, 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 right? And that's one piece of the E5 method. And maybe let's just say hypothetically, for example, I go through and I explain a couple of other pieces of the E5 method, showing why the E5 method is not only different from the typical approach to client acquisition, but is far superior, right? Which it is to every other method for client acquisition. Well, once I lead the audience to see why the E5 method is so effective and why the E5 method is superior to every other approach for client acquisition, notice that now all roads lead to me. Why? Because where else can they go to learn the E5 method? They cannot go anywhere else. There is nowhere else. If they leave that presentation and don't enroll in the E5 method, basically what they're in the E5 coaching, basically what they're saying is, I'm going to try another way, despite knowing and seeing why the E5 method is superior, right? Meaning all roads lead to me. There is no other option. And so that's the beauty of a unique mechanism. It creates an all roads lead to you because they cannot get the unique mechanism anywhere else, right? Recognize this, like for, and you'll see this in a lot more detail played out later today when we get into the mid-level stuff and then the more advanced level stuff, putting this all together for you guys and gals. But right, the part of the unique mechanism is that it's proprietary and it's only available for you. And so if I'm educating a prospect on a proprietary solution that's only available through me, once they want that mechanism, once they understand why it's different, why it's superior, why it's the best way for them to go, why it'll produce faster results maybe for them, why it's easier to do, why it's more compliant, why it is it produces more consistent results for them. Well, where can they get it? The only place that they can get it, right, and that is me. That's what I mean when I say and all roads lead to you. When you're done with doing it the way that I show you, once it's really, the magic is this. The magic is this. In the magic of the unique mechanism really is in, and again, we're going to cover all this. And so I'm kind of skipping ahead. I'm bouncing around for a second, but it is understanding. It's not, the name is the least important of the whole thing. The name of the unique mechanism is the absolute least important, yet it's the part that most people get caught up in. It's the least important. Understanding how your method, how your process works to produce the results that it does, and showing prospects why it's able to produce results, better results. And you'll understand what I mean by better, because there are different categories later today. That's where the magic happens, because all you're doing through that educational process is creating more and more demand for the mechanism. All you're doing is taking the prospect's desire for a result and turning it more and more into demand for your mechanism, right? They just want the mechanism more and more. As you continue to educate them and show them why it is different and superior, they want the mechanism. So you're pre-selling them, if you will, on the offer, because the offer is the place that they get the mechanism. And the offer, your offer with you, is the only place that they can get the mechanism. So they can't go anywhere else and get it. That's what I mean, Ryan, when I say all roads lead to you. You'll see, David. So we're going to actually cover the Schlitz beer example, as a matter of fact. Ubadullah. I'm terrible with names, and so I apologize if I mangle anybody's name. What if I don't have a proprietary method? You're going to learn. You're going to see how you do. You just don't realize it right now. And I'm going to show you how to uncover that. And so this is an example to continue to cruise through here. So this is an example. So a unique mechanism could be the formula in your vitamin supplement. If you sell supplements, as an example, right? The formulation that you've put together, right, in the vitamin supplement. If you've got a piece of software that helps people to get top Google rankings, let's just say, it could be the algorithm in the software. My point in sharing this with you here is, right, understand again, the unique mechanism is how your product or service works to produce the result. It's the first and foremost, what I want you to think about with your mechanism, right? Because we're gonna the showing, presenting it as a unique mechanism is easy once you've identified the mechanism, right? The formula in the vitamin supplement. Why? Because let's say the blood pressure lowering supplement, because it's the formulation that works to lower the blood pressure. In the software, if your software is able to get top Google rankings, it's the algorithm, it's the way the software works, it's what it does, it's what it looks for, it's the 16 points that it uses in its algorithm to get top Google rankings. If you've got, delicious cakes, you bake cakes professionally, right? Well, it could be the family recipe, right, from your great grandmother. That is why your cakes are so freaking moist, so delicious. If you've got an investing system, it's your trading strategy. It might be that you look at 3 indicators in this particular order at this particular time, looking for these different numbers. And when you see these different numbers after you've used that trading strategy, that's when you know to buy. And when you use those 3 numbers in a certain order at a certain time, it tells you to sell. That's when you sell. So it's the trading system behind your investment, the trading strategy behind your investment system. Let's say you are a massage therapist and maybe you're able to alleviate low back pain for your clients in 45 minutes or less, let's just say. Well, it could be the bodywork method that you use that is why they are able to get out of pain. Maybe you use a combination of 3 different bodywork methods, right? So you're not just using Swedish massage, you're not using, whatever, your elbows, you're using a combination, like you've discovered on your own through your experience, that when you use this combination, or when you start from the legs and go up to the back, or maybe you start from the back and go down to the legs and you use these 3, that it's this combination, your approach to body work, that produces the pain relief. Let's say you are a therapist and you help repair relationships. Well, it's the framework, the process, the approach, the steps, the number of steps, the order of the steps, what you do first, second, third, the questions that you ask, what you have the spouses or the folks in the relationship do when they're present. It's that framework that you use that is why you're able to repair so many relationships so effectively. It could even be the ingredient mixture in your gasoline, which makes it clean, right? Maybe you have 1 or 2 additives that are in the gasoline. And these are all just examples, right? That is why your gasoline is able to keep an engine so much cleaner, keep it running longer, cleaner, all of that. So you could see in each of these examples, again, what I'm talking about is it's the element behind the product that allows the product to deliver the result. It is the aspect, the element, the formula, the system, the framework, the strategy, the approach, the steps in combination that produce the result. That's what we're talking about here. Now, I very quickly want to touch on this idea of a unique selling proposition, because oftentimes there is confusion over, well, what is a unique selling proposition? How does a unique selling proposition differ from a unique mechanism? And so I want you to understand this. A unique selling proposition, or a USP, has been around for many years. It was kind of the brainchild of a direct response legend by the name of Rosser Reeves. And so this kind of came about in the early days of direct response marketing. And the simplest way for you to understand a unique selling proposition is a unique unique benefit offered only by your product or service and not available through any other competitors. And so it's a unique benefit. It's when you have a product or service that is able to deliver a benefit, a desirable benefit. Remember, a benefit that your prospect wants, and you are the only one in your marketplace who has a product or service that is able to deliver that benefit. When you're the only one that can deliver that benefit, and that benefit is big, it's desired, it's sought after. When you have that and you're the only purveyor of that, you're the only one that has a product or service that offers that unique benefit, you have what's called a USP. The reality is that today, unique selling propositions are rare. it's talked about in direct response circles, in direct response, in the direct response world, like what's your USP? The reality is that the overwhelming majority of products and services don't have a USP. That's okay. That's common. It's important for you to understand. Typically, you see USPs associated with new technologies, innovations, like true innovations, where there's really like a disruptive product or disruptive technology that's been introduced that then introduces a new benefit that you can't get anywhere else. Like, let's say when Uber was introduced, right? That introduced a whole new benefit that, right? Like that things like, security, things like you could just pull it up on your phone and have a car there in minutes. Things like you don't have to have cash on you. You don't have to give a tip, like all those things that at the time that was a USP, because when rideshare services first came about with the technology, blah, 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 only ones offering that, right? That was a USP compared to yellow cabs, yellow taxis, things like Netflix. When Netflix first came about, Netflix Online, the streaming platform came about, that was a USP. You no longer had to go to the store. You didn't have to return DVDs. You didn't have any late fees, anything like that. You got access to all of these, right? It was instantaneous, all of that. Again, a USP is only really common today with innovations, with disruptive technologies. And so it's far likely that you do not have or do not offer a benefit or benefits that your competitors don't. A couple of you may, right? It's possible. Oftentimes when I'm with clients and they say, right, I offer a benefit that nobody else does. Usually when we dig a little bit, that's not the case. Or it's just not really a benefit. They're talking about a feature, right, of the product or service, and that feature doesn't even really deliver a benefit that is super compelling to the marketplace. More likely than not, the majority of you will not have a USP for your product or service. That's okay. The beauty is that you don't have to differentiate with a USP. You can differentiate with a unique selling proposition. What this means is that when you have a unique benefit, truly a unique benefit that your product or service offers, you're able to differentiate what it is that you do with that unique benefit. Meaning if let's say you do have a USP, as an example, well, that becomes the differentiator, right? That your product, your service is the only one that offers XYZ benefit. And as long as XYZ benefit is desirable to the marketplace, well, you've got a differentiating point. But when you don't have a USP, when your product or service offers the same benefits, the same outcome, the same result as what your competitors are promising, that's where we use a unique mechanism. The difference between USP and a unique mechanism, to just drive this home, is the unique mechanism is how the product or service works to deliver the result. It's the unique way that the product or service works to deliver the result. The same result being promised by competitors, whereas a USP is a unique benefit that is only offered by your product or service. For a USP, it's rare. For a unique mechanism, it is easily identified.